So there are now more than 81,000 individual cases confirmed worldwide of the coronavirus, and local authorities imposing either quarantines or in many cases asking individuals to self-isolate to contain the spread of the virus. For example, we talked about this earlier here in the U.S. today. New York officials asking 83 people just outside of New York City in Nassau County to quarantine themselves for 2 weeks after they returned from areas where they might have been exposed. So this does raise perhaps some legal questions, and the judge joins us. Judge Andrew Napolitano is Fox News senior judicial analyst, host of Liberty File on Fox Nation, and people have been wondering about some of these things, Judge. So for the most part, it's governments asking rather than requiring. But could they require?
Well, the federal government can certainly require. Congress has enacted statutes under the Commerce Clause. The Commerce Clause lets Congress regulate interstate commerce and intrastate commerce that affects interstate commerce. Stated differently, Congress has given the United States Public Health Service, which is part of the Department of Health and Human Services, the ability to order mandatory quarantines. Now, there are quarantines and there are quarantines. One is a quarantine in your home, where they really can't watch you because they don't have the resources to do that. The other is a quarantine in a federal hospital where they can watch you.
Right.
The third, and probably the most odious, is a quarantine at a federal military facility where they can watch you.
But I'm hoping from the perspective of civil liberties that there must be some boxes that have to be checked here. And if so, what are those boxes?
Well, the boxes are not civil liberties boxes. The boxes are health boxes.
Okay.
This is just a public health decision. And the law is clear. It can't be based on politics or socioeconomic status. It can be based on geography. So the Public Health Service, I don't want to scare people, but the Public Health Service can say there's been so much exposure in fill in the blank zip code, they're going to quarantine everybody in that zip code for another 2 weeks. The federal government can do that. Now, can you challenge the quarantine?
Yeah.
Yes, you can.
How do you do that?
Well, you have to hire, you can't physically go into court because you're quarantined unless you're going to break the quarantine. You have to hire somebody to go into court for you, who has to demonstrate that you have not been exposed and that you do not have the symptoms yourselves, or that the federal government abused its authority when it imposed the quarantine. Such a challenge might be moot because these quarantines only last for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Try getting before a federal judge in 2 weeks.
Right, it would be over by then. One quick question before we let you go. The other thing people have brought up, we understand a lot of these things are speculative, just by nature they are, because they haven't happened yet. But the people who travel overseas, this young man who was studying overseas was on earlier with us, or just other people who have a trip, a vacation, they said, well, what if something happens here while I'm away and they're not letting people in or something like that? Is that a realistic concern to have?
Yes, yes. I saw the interview with that young man. He could land at JFK and stay there for 2 weeks. And the federal government would have the authority to do that. Again, he'd have to hire lawyers. His family would have to hire a doctor to examine him and present that evidence to a federal judge to spring him. Otherwise, he's going to spend 2 weeks there. That is a realistic possibility at this point, not probability, but a legal possibility.
Right.
That people arriving at JFK or any other international airport can be confined there for 2 weeks.
All right. So again, this is why there's economic concern, not necessarily, as I said earlier, always because of the virus itself, but the reaction to it and the behavior that it leads to. But thank you, Judge, for explaining it.
You're welcome.
We appreciate it. All right, Melissa.